Okay, so December 31st, the grind is on. I tracked my whole year on self-improvement every fucking month. I'm gonna show you right now. And so here are the lessons I learned. These are my findings. I actually wrote them down in my little notebook. Okay, one day I'll run you through the whole Notion system, but for now we're focusing on my habit tracker. So this is my yearly tracker, and I've tracked every single month what I've been doing. And as you can see, there are some gaps here. So obviously, sometimes I changed what I track. So for example, this quality of work, I didn't track quality of work every single month. But the beautiful thing is, I also tracked like quality indicators for quite a couple of months. This is something that I thought when I was tracking that it's gonna be a stupid idea. As you can see, I even discontinued it. But as it turns out, it's really useful data when you compare it, for example, with bedtime and sleep time and how much I exercised and how much I worked. Yeah, so I've had a very interesting year. At the start of the year, I've had massive success. Well, not massive, like tiny success, but I've never had anything like it. So I was enjoying getting, some YouTube views. I was getting some clients for my Quit Porn, NoWeb coaching. And I was working quite a bit because the university was closed. As you can see, 200 plus hours here, 130 hours into March. And then I started doing a challenge called 75 Hard during February. And then it stopped during May. And I got completely fatigued. I got completely knocked out. My momentum was lost. Great challenge, 75 Hard. I recommend it for anyone who's lacking discipline. But if you're already putting in 200 plus hours of work, it's gonna ruin whatever you do. It's gonna ruin your business. It's gonna ruin your job, your performance in your job. No matter what you do, don't do it if you already have the discipline. Just because of ego. Because I've already done this once and I wanted to do it again, but this time I do it better. No. I journaled about this as well, and a quote I wrote, oh fuck, so cringe quoting myself, but it's like, you can't cross an ocean with a bicycle. You can get to the docks, you can get to the dockyard to build a boat, but if you think just because you got to the docks with your bike that you can cross the ocean, you're absolutely retarded. And so, because that's sort of what I did, I was like, okay, I got to this point by getting momentum from this awesome like 75 hard challenge. Let's do it. No, you can't cross an ocean with a bike. Another thing Pages read as well, like, look guys, this way, if you track your stuff with Notion, and I'm gonna show you in a second how exactly I track on the day-to-day, this is just the summary. If you track stuff like this, like reading, it has to be actual pages. It can't be, okay, I read for 1 hour. No, that doesn't work, because the gaps here are not that I didn't read, but I read very little and I tracked it with hours instead of pages, which isn't a really good metric, because you might be just reading one page every 15 minutes and then daydreaming for the rest of the time. Yeah, and so for the wake time as well, very interesting, that during my most productive months, January and February, I was waking up super late. I remember I was waking up at 9 for the first part of January and then at 7 for the rest. Didn't really affect the results. Didn't really affect the results that I woke up at 7 and 9. And then I tried waking up at 6 in September and then also in July. And what ended up happening is I got a lot more tired. I was more fatigued and I burnt out, especially in June. I remember I had massive burnout. Yeah, another thing I would add if I were to do this again, and I'm doing this again because of how awesome this is. I've been tracking since I think January 2024. Actually, let's look at it. January, there it is. January. This is my first tracker. I did it all in one, and then I realized that it gets very laggy if you do so many rows. Yeah, so here we go. Let me show you how one of these trackers work. Which one should I? Maybe May? I want to give you a good one because it was not a flawless year. As I said, I was shoveling shit or procrastinating the shoveling of shit for about 6 months between May and October. I was also moving abroad, first time moving international, because I got a scholarship to study basically for free. Well, I'm in profit. Anyway, let's talk about the tracker. Stick to the topic, Nicholas. So here it is. Here is how one of my better months looked like, and here are the things that I'm tracking. As you can see, like bedtime, wake time, exercise, progress picture this is for the challenge specifically, and water intake, how much I drink, exercise. Very important, guys. If you're planning on, changing your life during 2026, tracking is an essential part, but making the tracker overcomplicated at the start, it might be your doom. So for example, be more vague with your stuff. Like instead of, okay, I'm gonna write meditation 30 minutes, just write meditation. And so if you meditate, you check it. If you don't, you don't. Just be a bit more vague. If you are tracking your workouts, if you worked out or not, just write exercise. Don't worry about writing whatever 1 hour workout or cardio workout. It doesn't matter. And even better, what I found to be best is I write exercise 30 minutes. So even if I just went for a 30-minute walk, it still counts as exercise, and it gives you a much more realistic picture of what your day looks like, because you can check the checkbox even if you just did some yoga on the yoga mat at home, or even if you did the hardest workout in the gym. It doesn't matter. The point is you stayed consistent in doing something, you're being active. That's more important than hitting the perfect 3-hour gym workout and then burning out after 7 days, because obviously you can't recover if you don't stretch and you don't chill for a couple of days. So I track my calories with MyFitnessPal. Calorie tracking in this type of trackers completely useless. It took way too long for me to realize. So the weight, I didn't mention the weight is personal, but I'm trying to gain weight to 94 kilograms. At this point, this was 2025 February, I was on my maximum weight. This was my first time bulking, and my second time bulking has just ended now, which is January or December 31st, 2025. Yeah, and then I had the screen time. Super important to have a little bit sad that I wasn't including it in the summary. But guys, listen, screen time. You need to track your screen time, and don't be alarmed when you have to write some bullshit into it, like 14 or what is it? Come on, give me a high one. There is it, Daddy? There it is. 8 hours on my laptop. But I was working, so that's fine. What's more important is being able to compare these two. So tracking your phone and tracking your laptop separately. And so you see, I was on my screen was on for 13 hours, but I was on my phone for 7.7 hours on this day. This was the 20th of February. You see, I worked 10 hours, so this was most likely work. So this is not a huge issue. I was probably recording some videos and stuff, and also doing video calls for the coaching clients. But yeah, super important to know, like shit like this. You see, 11 hours phone time for some reason. and I had 0 screen time on my laptop. So if I worked 6 hours, that means I was on my phone for 5 hours for some reason during this day. That's not okay. Being able to catch stuff like this early on, you know, you can just write this stuff down, see how much you're on the phone. And by the way, my phone time has went way down ever since. I think I even got a new phone at this point. I was using like a Android Samsung thing. Now I have an iPhone, and yeah. Honestly, I know you're gonna hate me. I don't really like the iPhone, but that's my personal stuff right here. Yeah. So again, very, very close, very, very personal with these. One day I'll make a review of my whole Notion system if it's interesting to you guys. But yeah, so the biggest findings of this year is my quality of life is closely related to how much I work. And when the work drops off because of university or because of moving or because of procrastination, whatever, my quality of life drops off, even if I keep working out. So the one thing that was a win for me is I didn't really ever stop working out. There was like 1 month where I was, you know, back in Budapest, Hungary. I didn't really have a gym there. I didn't know where I was gonna go, and I was a little bit like sipping on the copium, trying to say, okay, I'm just gonna do calisthenics at home. And so that, you know, I lost some gains there, but really quickly got back on the horse. And yeah, quality of workouts was very high as well. Just something I didn't track, but definitely gained a lot of muscle this year. And you can see it in my health. It was very, very high. Quality of business it started off really good, and then obviously as the amount of work went down, except June. June was a weird thing where I was trying to do a course that I didn't release, not really, and it was shit. And I decided to pull it because I didn't feel like it was valuable enough to sell for money, and yeah, it wasn't really popping off anyway. So I spent like a good 50 hours on just like creating a course, recording, writing stuff. Not very useful, not really something that moved the business forward at all. So you can just ignore this, and you see how as the hours go down on my business work time, the quality of business obviously goes down. I mean, that's more obvious stuff, right? But when I work less, I read less. That's not obvious. I didn't expect that. It's so much less, Jesus Christ, you know? The same thing happens with meditation. If I don't work, I don't meditate. If I don't meditate, I don't work? Question mark? I don't know. Probably. It's all interconnected. Work, meditation, reading or learning. Obviously what I read, what I track is non-fiction. And yeah, so the money, I don't really like talking about it too openly, but this is Hungarian forints. Let me know if you want me to show you how to build one of these habit trackers. If you want to, I can show you, but yeah, are you interested? Just write tutorial in the comments. And if I get a couple of comments like that, I'll make a video on it. And you can build your own habit tracker, you can start tracking your own life, and you know, you can really, really make the biggest difference by knowing what is going on a day-to-day basis in your life. And it's not just nice to look at it after you've done it for 12 months. It's actually very useful, as I said, on a day-to-day basis, guys, because of how much information you get immediately. Like you look back 2-3 days and you see, okay, my sleep quality has been bad. If I don't get my sleep on track, my work time is gonna keep going down and I'll feel worse and worse. My quality of life will be worse. Yeah, guys, so let me know if you've enjoyed this type of video. It's just a very informal, very laid back thing. And Happy New Year to you guys. See you in the next one. Coach Nick is out.